This week in the Weldon Water, the Fast 40 Plus Round 4 1 Tonne Cup. The MC38 Spring Regatta on Sydney Harbour, Day 2. Lest Tesch, the gold medal winner of the Scud 18 at the Rio Olympics. GC32 Sotogrande Cup, Day 4. And the Ngalawa Cup preview.
The latest mods we've done coming into this regatta have just been a major uplift. PCT gave us the carbon block, we put it in here, fitted it at HYS. It's funny, we were leading the last race yesterday by a bit. We ended up with a third after a Master Zero mistake. You know, we came in, everyone was a bit down about that, but we ended up saying, you know, expectations have changed so much, we're worried about coming third, we're disappointed with the first. It's a good step for the boat.
I had a Dutch guy who wanted to get into the class and wanted a boat that was up to speed, and I was happy to sell it to him on the condition that he sailed next year here. And we're going to have another boat from PCT. We've got a couple of little ideas we want to change, but not much. So I think the thing is, it's a case of evolution, certainly not revolution.
And in first place was Girls on Film by Peter Morton.
The dominance of the MC class by Leslie Green's Ginger continued with yet another triumph. This time, the CYCA Spring Regatta sailed on Sydney Harbour over the weekend of September 24 and 25. Over 7 races, Neville Crichton's Maserati came within 5 points of the supreme Ginger racing team. Crichton reckons they can be beaten, but no one has figured out how at this stage. The last person to do it was Howard Spencer in Menace in the Winter Regatta in June last year. In his 80s, Green is something of an inspiration to the class and the wider sailing family for his ability and endurance at the helm of these touchy Grand Prix racing machines. To his crew, he's just a motivating leader. Speaking on Green's performance, runner-up skipper Neville Crichton had these comments. "Leslie does a great job. There's no argument about that. His is the best team out there, but he's beatable. We're not far off his pace." If Howard Spence from New Zealand in Menace hadn't collected DNF points in race 1 after sailing the wrong course, then the story would have been very different. course was sailed on the harbour at the Rose Bay entrance, and watch the flying boats as they take off. The horn sound that you're hearing tells competitors there's a change in the course. The wind on Sunday on the harbour was fluctuating all over the place, so many changes of course had to be made. Ginger won race 5, followed by Menace and Maserati. Menace won race 6, followed by Ginger and Maserati. Race 7 was a whole different story. The race got off to a fairly easy start with a lightning breeze coming from the southwest, and the usual suspects went to their particular sides of the course. Ginger went to the western side, and Assassin, who was coming last, went to the east. The predicted big storm was on the way. It was coming from the south and the pressure was dropping. The barometer was crashing also. 5 to 10 minutes into the race, what happens? The wind changed, a huge swing, and Assassin was coming first, and have a guess where Ginger was? Last. The tide had turned completely 180 degrees. Now the bottom half of the fleet were on top. What else could go wrong? As the fleet rounded the bottom mark, once again there's a course change. The wind is dropping even further. Now it looks like it could be a drift. When will the change happen? These are the thoughts that are going through the minds of all the skippers. Rounding the bottom mark, the beat back up to the top mark was in light breeze. And rounding the top mark, John Bacon in Dark Star caught the anchor rope of the buoy and snagged it. Not noticing that the buoy was attached to their keel, they took off down on the spinnaker run. To get rid of it, all they had to do now is drop all the sails and then send a man overboard. Meanwhile, the boat behind them followed them, trying to go round the mark. But the boat at the mark, where it had been, sounded their horn and called them back. Meanwhile, Ginger was still working up to the mark and past them. It was a retirement for John. The wind had lightened right off, as you can see, and in race 7, Menace was first, Maserati was, and Hooligan was third.
This sort of sailing is very rustic. The boats themselves are the same sort of boats that these guys around here have been sailing for the last 500 years. Bamboo masts and canvas sails.
I think people that sail very fast develop a connection with boats. It's not just a means of transport.
The Ngalawas are like nothing I've ever sailed. It's a totally different style of sailing.
The crew has been tested to the limit. think Tanzania is a great location for this. The coastline is beautiful, the water is beautiful. There's not too many places where you can find nice turquoise water, good clarity. You could arrive on any beach and ask for help and you immediately have it. They're very accommodating.
When you do finally hit shore, it's like bliss. You see the other teams.
They've all got their own stories to tell of what's gone on, who they've met and beaches they've stopped at. And there's just a real feeling of we're going to get through this and help each other and get through it together. It's brilliant.
One of the things about sailing is you're always looking for the challenge, looking for the next sea to cross, looking for the next rough piece of water to take on. This is one of those experiences that really does push you.
Adventures really knocked it on the head, you know, it's been a real challenge. I said I wanted to do something stupid and stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm ready to go back out and give it a go again. Let's carry on.
The ocean, it teaches you where your limits are, and if you can overcome them, it empowers you in a major way. If you want to push yourself, see what it's like to let your survival instinct take over, this would definitely be a trip that you could do.
I loved it, every second of it.
You're in for the ride of your lifetime, that's for sure.
We're celebrating at the CYCA Club because the gold medal winner is Lest Tesch. Liesl, you've won a number of gold medals and medals in the Olympic Games. How does it feel to be the gold medal this year from Rio?
It's absolutely fantastic. This is my second back-to-back gold medal with Dan Fitzgibbon. We have had the most amazing time in Rio. Despite what the media said in the lead up to the Games, we have left that place with our hearts beating wide with the love of the people, the Cariocas, the people of Rio de Janeiro. It might have been a tough sailing regatta, but we did our preparation right and we didn't make any errors out there on the race course. We just did some really good sailing, and to come away with a pretty spectacular scorecard on the sunset of Paralympic sailing, as it's not going to be in 2020, is a very satisfying feeling.
Well, that's very controversial, isn't it, the dropping of the sailing for the next round of the Paralympics?
It's so disappointing, not just for ourselves as sailors, but also for the next generation of young sailors with disabilities coming through. I really hope World Sailing and all the sailing organisations around the world do as much as they possibly can. I know everybody, and I know and thank everybody who participated in Bart's Bash over the weekend to try and contribute to help put disabled sailing back in the Games.
Well, everyone's a bit disappointed and also embarrassed about the fact that it was dropped.
Absolutely, it's extremely disappointing. I think there was a whole lot of things going on behind the scenes that we didn't know about as sailors, and there's also, I think, still things going on behind the scenes that we are not knowing about. So I think we've asked for transparency from the leadership body for disabled sailing around the world, but we're yet to see that transparency come out so we know what's going on as sailors.
Well, I know that Australian sailing are keen to get it back in, and I think this has just given them impetus now. It won't be there in 2020, but certainly it'll be...
Absolutely, and as a sailor with a disability, I'm doing every single thing I can. And the closing night of our World Cup down in Melbourne last year, I actually sat with a glass of red wine in my hand and gathered a group of decision makers in sailing together and set up our inaugural Pacific Oceania Sailing Development Committee. And we've been on the Skype once a month for the last few months, and we've got our first event coming in Auckland in January next year, bringing sailors and coaches from across the Pacific to get the opportunity for people with disabilities to try sailing. And that's just the start. Then we've got, hopefully that will be a pilot over in Asia, and following that another one in Florida, with all the Pacific, all the Caribbean and Central American nations having the same opportunity for people with disabilities to be out on the water in a sport that is absolutely fantastic.
Well, we need shy retiring types like yourself.
Absolutely.
To promote it.
Cheers to that.
Indeed. Now look, one of the great photographs of the Olympics was you sitting there with a couple of fingers raised. The digits were in the air.
It was a little bit awkward.
I'll just go
zoom in on those. Well, I must say that I went down to my local shop in Woi Woi, as represented by the high school students that I teach, and asked to have the port and starboard nails painted onto me, and with an Australian flag. I asked for on the little finger, but as the lady did it, she she actually individually painted on my wonky Australian flag. She suggested I had it on this finger, and on national television I was explaining the port and stuff, and they said, what about your Australian fingernails? And of course I just left those two up, which was a little bit of a surprise to myself more than anything else, and then I realised what I'd done, which is quite embarrassing.
Well, it was certainly the international,
But I think sailors understand where I'm coming from.
And we thought you were talking about 2020 and the fact that it's been dropped.
Maybe I will. No, I really, seriously, sincerely had absolutely no idea until it happened, and then I'm like, oopsie daisy.
What a fantastic photograph it did turn out to be, though, Liesl. But it was very...
And I think it's tough, but for people with disabilities, I think any publicity is good publicity. So more and more coverage of people with disabilities involved in sport around the world is better for them. The way sailing has embraced us across Australia in sailability, in Paralympic level sailing, and just people with disabilities sailing on ordinary yachts out there in the harbours and sailing environments around Australia. Thank you to all the yacht clubs, sailing clubs who have embraced us and taken on as just one of your members. That's what it's all about.
Now, you started off in basketball, didn't you?
I played basketball for 5 Paralympic Games. So I crashed my bicycle and broke my back when I was 19, and one of the physios suggested wheelchair basketball as part of my rehab, and I fell in love with the sport. Played 5 years professionally in Europe before I came home, and the learning curve had flattened off a little bit. It was actually here at the CYC where Sailors with Disabilities invited me to try out for the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. So that was a magnificent opportunity that completely changed my life for the better.
So what are you going to do in the future, Liesl?
Oh, it's not happening in the near distant future, but one of my goals is actually to sail around the world with my partner, Mark Thompson, not quickly, but just at our own leisure, and take our time enjoying what's out there to offer, and the wind and the water which is what we all love.
When do you think this might happen? 5 years?
I think this is probably a 10-year plan. I spoke at the local St Vincent's Hospital not long ago, and 2 people came and told me about their sailing experience in 2000, and I never even ask people normally what boat you sail, and one of the ladies said, I asked her, and she said, I sail a Col 43, and I said, do you want to sell it? And she said, yes. So I'm a little bit frightened.
Well, look, the One Day Globe is on, and it starts in November, so there should be a few boats available after the middle of next year.
Absolutely.
Are we going cheap?
Yep, so we haven't got that much to pay, but we're definitely keen.
Well, listen, we should be talking about this.
Absolutely fantastic,
about the future and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We'd be very interested in working with you.
Yeah, no, it's a long-term plan, and it's going to take a while. Like, I haven't got that much experience to do really single-handed, double-handed sailing, but it's something that's going to come as the next challenge. My partner's done 13 Hobarts. I met him as a volunteer, able-bodied volunteer who sails with Sailors with Disabilities, Mark Thompson, and he's a shipwright, so he's got a lot of sailing under his belt, and I've just got a lot of enthusiasm under mine.
Well, look, we would be interested in talking to you about it as far as the project is concerned, and promoting it and helping you in any way, shape or form.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful.
The World on Water would love to be part of it.
Okay, well, goodness gracious, yeah, wow. Woohoo! Oh gosh, we've just said it now and it counts.
Yes.
Hello and welcome to the final day of the GC32 La Reserva de Sotogrande Cup. Social events have always been a big part of the GC32 racing tour, and all the competitors had a chance to gather together for last night's crew dinner hosted by the organisers.
I think it's great. I think it's fun to be able to hang out with all the guys after racing and exchange a bit on the day, and it's amazing to be in such nice places. So for us it's really fun, and Sotogrande is definitely a beautiful place. I think we had a great dinner yesterday. So it's good to mix both. It's difficult also because of the level of sailing. The guys are quite tired after sailing, but it's really fun. So quite happy about that.
Out on the water, everyone was looking for some clean, fast sailing, but it was Team Norauto who did it again. Not making any mistakes, good decisions and accurate sailing, they got 2 bullets and took first overall. 10 out of the 15 bullets for this event really was an outstanding performance.
That was a tough day today again. Unfortunately, the winds didn't deliver the Sotogrande promise with a strong breeze. It's tricky conditions, and we had 3 tough races, and we're happy to come away with 2 bullets today.
Despite the high pressure, Sebastian Schneider put in a great performance, managing to get second with Team Tilt. The 21-year-old was helming the boat for the first time in this series after returning from the Rio Olympics.
Yeah, first event at the helm, I was a bit stressed actually the first day with 20 knots, but at the end it went pretty well, pretty smooth, and I think race by race we got better and better, so can't wait to go in Marseille and try to catch Naruto again.
Team NG made it to her first podium finish of the tour, finishing third, whilst Pierre Casaraghi and Milizia Yacht Club de Monaco won the Owner Drivers Trophy. The next and final stop of the GC32 Racing Tour 2016, the Marseille One Design is from the 13th to the 16th of October. And can Argo make a comeback in the Owner Drivers Trophy? We'll find out there.
Welcome to Funchal and the beautiful island of Madeira. This could spell disaster for Alingi. Celebrations for Alingi, winners here in Madeira for Act 6 of the 2016 Extreme Sailing Series.